Hello, good morning.
Good morning. This is Fallon with Lowe's Executive Customer Relations. How are you today, Naja?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. The call may be recorded for quality and training. I apologize. I just missed your call, but definitely wanted to touch base with you as quickly as possible. So I received the complaint sent to Mr. Ellison and Rhonda concerning the experience that you had at the U.S. Texas store upon leaving with an item that you had ordered for pickup and picked up, and it had the note on it from customer service stating that it was picked up, and the cashier still began in the manner that she did. So I just wanted to touch base with you on that, and definitely apologize for your experience and any inconvenience and frustration experienced with this, and let you know that we are doing an internal investigation on this matter to address it.
Okay, so as far as that internal investigation goes, I did want to just ask a few questions about it, if that's okay with you. So the first thing I just wanted to know is I looked on the website and I couldn't find it anywhere, but like what is the loss prevention or theft policy that you guys have at Lowe's?
There's not really anything that I can share with you on a specific policy. We don't, there's not a specific policy as far as checking receipts or anything like that upon people leaving. There's not something that we have a certain structure for.
So this employee is just acting on her own like will of just asking one customer for proof of purchase, or is that like something like I kind of want to know, like, is it from store to store there's certain cashiers who are supposed to leave their register and harass a customer, or is it that there's somebody supposed to be at the door for each store? What does it look like?
So I feel what the store manager advised you is correct, that employees can check receipts and things of that nature when people are leaving. Like I said, we don't have an exact policy on it, but employees can check receipts upon leaving, just to make sure that something has been paid for and things like that. But we don't have a specific policy on it.
Would this manager have a specific policy for his store? Because when he said that, maybe sometimes there'll be somebody, it was really vague. And it felt to me that he was saying it more so to excuse her behavior rather than it being a specific system that they have in place. Like, I feel like if I were to go back to Lowe's and just quietly be there, I would not see anybody checked if I waited for hours. I don't think that that's a system that's actually in place at his store. And so that's why I'm kind of asking about, is this a store to store thing, or is this just no one really knows and it just is a matter of like, if people decide I think that person might be a thief, they get to just pick, because that's in essence what happened to me.
Well, I don't think it's that. It may be just because the product just have a note on it. So, you know,
I mean, a
just
note that
something
looked
that
like
she
a receipt. I
showed.
would love to share with you guys the pictures of that that document. It wasn't that she like wrote on a sticky note, "This person paid." It was printed
Sure,
clearly from Lowe's. It's not something that I could just create within the store, and
sure.
I came directly from customer service. So that's where, again, like, I mean, obviously you don't really have the answer for that one, but it just felt and it still feels like what Lowe's is doing by not having a loss prevention policy, they are leaving it up to the employees that they hire. And of course, anybody who employs anyone takes that risk that their employees are going to act with dignity and intelligence. But in this case, we saw an employee act totally, like, at least according to what Mr. Ellison says on his Twitter and all the diversity things he's trying to do. We saw an employee act exactly opposite of what that would require, and it doesn't seem that there's a way to even resolve that issue. Like maybe the next time it won't be her. Hopefully she'll be fired, because if she's not fired, then it would just mean that Lowe's is complacent and okay with her behavior. But if it's not her, it could be somebody else. And more so than me worrying about, well, what if it's me at a different Lowe's, because it will never be me at another Lowe's again. What if it's somebody else that's just not getting the guidance that they need from Lowe's? So they're acting on like, hey, I just think that this guy might be a thief. And they end up causing even worse harm than what has already been caused to me and my daughter. So that was just something I needed to say, and that I hope will just be something that you continue to consider, because that's a significant problem. There's not even a policy, and yet I was chosen. I have other questions. So the head cashier that came over, who first identified himself as a manager or the only manager available, he told me that the employee's name was Patricia, and I just wanted to verify, is that indeed her name, Patricia?
I don't have that information. I don't know if that is for sure her name, but that's what you were told.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I'm sure they're not being false in that information, but I don't personally know that
Okay.
is her name, but that's what they told you.
Perfect. And is Patricia still working, like at the store? Is she still employed by Lowe's?
That is something that I could not answer. That's not something that we can provide to you.
Got it.
That would be a part of our internal information.
Perfect. Okay, and then I guess my follow-up question goes along with what I've already said about the loss prevention policy not being existent or being non-existent at Lowe's. So how will occurrences like this be prevented in the future?
Well, we are, like I said, investigating this matter internally from the feedback you've given upon your experience. So that's really all that I can advise, is that we do have a zero tolerance perception on racism. I can tell you that, and that this is something that we are investigating. So that's really all I can tell you upon what we are doing. I can't share more specifics on our internal procedures moving forward. However, I can tell you that, and that this is something we will be pursuing.
Okay. So, as I said in my email, and I know that you've already responded and said that I will not be speaking to Rhonda or Mr. Ellison, it's still my intent to speak with one of them, preferably Mr. Ellison, regarding this matter. I understand how business works. I understand that with any corporation, there are channels for communication, and clearly, like, you are one of those channels. But now that I've even spoken to you, I just still don't feel like I don't feel like this can just rest. I don't feel like there's a real solution being given to me. And I don't feel like Lowe's, the corporation, up to the CEO, understands how detrimental it is to have Lowe's in communities of color and communities like the one I was in yesterday, where it's 65% white. And so I am the minority, 12.34% black. But to have them in those communities, or any community where there's no loss prevention theft policy, and any person that is employed by Lowe's can be the person that criminalizes someone who is solely shopping. So I have to explain to my 7-year-old daughter what happened. She had to experience it. She had to see her mother be completely powerless in a situation where she knew her mother was right. And so it can't just end here with this 9-minute conversation where there were no answers. And all that I know now is that there's an internal investigation. I feel like this needs to be heard by Mr. Ellison himself. And so, in keeping with there being channels of communication, like, that's the message that I want you to be able to give him, and that I want you to be able to give your boss, Rhonda Harlow, because I am not satisfied as a customer, and I won't be able to let this rest.
Sure, and I will document that feedback, but that's all that I can do. So I will document that is your request.
Perfect. And that's why I want to talk to someone else, because and this is to no disrespect to you, but I understand that that's all you can do. And that's why I want to talk to someone who can do something more and who can understand this, like, on a larger scale, because this is a bigger thing than just me. I know that we all know the state of the world right now, and it's nothing new to me and people that look like me, but it's new to plenty of people. And I know that we all can acknowledge that this dangerous behavior, because that's what it was. She put me in danger. Had I reacted in any other way, had I snatched my item back, had I argued with her, had I yelled, had I told my daughter, let's just keep going, and we walked to our car, it could have been terrible. It could have led to me being arrested. It could have led to me being harmed. It could have led to my daughter being harmed. It could have led to her being removed by some stranger that she doesn't even know because her mom is being detained. So all of those things could have been the outcome. And so even though I understand that we have to say the right things, I get it. It's not enough to just say, okay, we'll do the internal investigation and we're so sorry. Sorry doesn't save lives. Sorry comes afterwards, after harm has already been done. And by the grace of God, this situation ended as it did. But there's no guarantees going forward that every situation that occurs like this at Lowe's will end the way it did with me. And it's clear that this could very well happen again at Lowe's because there's no policy. There's nothing. The manager doesn't have a policy. And I guarantee when I go back to the store and when I watch, there won't be anyone checked for anything. And it'll just confirm what I already know in my heart and what all of the people I've already communicated this to already know, is that this was targeted. This woman, maybe she acted by herself, but I don't want to believe this, but it seems that Lowe's doesn't even have a plan, and so people like her are just protected. So that's all I have to say.
Well, I certainly appreciate your time today and providing me all the details upon your experience. And like I said, I will document everything we have discussed.
All right. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. You have a wonderful day, ma'am.
You too.